Welcome to Coast View, the show that every single day celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. Hey, this past weekend, coastal Mississippi wasn't such a great place to live, work, and play in. It was actually quite unsafe at times. And what I want to do is I want to read a post that I did at the Ricky Matthews Coast View site, Facebook site. And then we're actually going to be joined by Mayor FoFo Gilich, and we're going to talk more about this. So here's what I posted. Residents were stranded in their homes. First responders were placed in harm's way. The danger to first responders, tourists, coastal Mississippians was real and significant. Some may say this was just a few bad apples spoiling this for the rest of us. Anyone who believes that doesn't understand the level of danger that existed. It was unprecedented in coastal Mississippi history, and it damaged our reputation as a safe place to live, work, and play. This event evolved into something disastrous for coastal Mississippi. If we don't, will continue to evolve into something disastrous for coastal Mississippi. We don't act as a set of communities swiftly and definitively. It screams we must take action. The reality is, as Mayor FoFo Gilich referred to it, guns, drugs, and alcohol don't mix. Guns were everywhere. Shell casings were everywhere. Promoters have been shut down in Atlanta, Florida, Alabama, and other communities. They know coastal Mississippi is now the weak spot. As a result, we are enabling people to come here who don't care about coastal Mississippi or the rule of law. Biloxi Councilman George Lawrence said this: "We lost our safety. People were scared to leave their homes." Biloxi Police Chief Miller reported it this way: Florida police chiefs met. They put serious rules in place, and they actually said this: "We feel sorry for Biloxi. Their only regret is they didn't call us to warn us." First responders were incredibly concerned. Honestly, they were scared. They want to know that they want to know why they would be knowingly put in harm's way. We can never put them in this position again. Now, here are some statistics from Chief Miller. Of course, we know the one homicide. There were 7 aggravated assaults on police officers. Could have been as many as 12 or more because of reckless driving and bottles thrown. He says it's rare to have one of those during an event. We had 7. It could have been more. 41 of the complaints that were made were linked to guns. One officer was shot in the arm, and unfortunately, he may have nerve damage. And 4 others were shot. 2 are still in guarded condition. 5 people shot at one time. That hasn't happened before during an event in coastal Mississippi. There was discussion about various promoters needing to be seriously vetted in the future at the Biloxi City Council meeting. Too many only care about making money. They don't care about the impact on our safety or our quality of life. Promoters saw our weaknesses. They came here because of that. This year, there were at least 4 separate promoters. Add to that pop-up gatherings that created by social media. It was chaos. Mayor Gilich made the point that pop-up parties combined with events create a long-duration event. Compared to Mardi Gras, for example, the tremendous cost of this event is going to be incredible with very little economic return. We don't have enough officers in this state to control an event like this. Chief Miller warned officers who come in from other jurisdictions will need to come back will not come back next time. This will be a major issue. They fear for their lives. The danger grew exponentially over the weekend. The total cost will ultimately be staggering. Luann Pappas, who's the CEO of Scarlet Pearl, said that she is thankful to live in Biloxi and that we all have a right to feel safe. All the good that we do to promote this place is negated when something like this happens. This is just Biloxi. I urge leaders all along coastal Mississippi to band together and to take a one-coast approach to this issue. There must be a common approach. If we don't do that, weaknesses in our plan across coastal Mississippi will be discovered. Let the words from Florida police chiefs settle in. We feel sorry for Biloxi. We need to all go at this together. I want to lastly say this. I'm a resident of Biloxi. I love this place. And I'm really proud of Mayor FoFo Gilich, our police chief, and the city council, and our citizens for addressing this issue head on so quickly. Watch yesterday's city council meeting on YouTube in its entirety. The way that I would say it, it is an excellent example of democracy and leadership and action. So with that said, let's turn to my friend, the mayor of the city of Biloxi, Mayor FoFo Gilich. And first of all, I just welcome you to the show. How you doing, FoFo?
Thank you, Ricky. It's always great to be with you. And I know your heart and your program is about what makes us special here. And we will, just like a storm, some storms are worse than others. And some things were unexpected. And all the statement that you made just a moment ago is accurate. Had we known, we could stiffen up, stiffen up the weak points and limitations and those kinds of things, from the actions that inside the concerts or in and around concerts, as well as the vendors, and they brought some difficult challenges this time. And we've seen, as Chief Miller said, which is, he's our hero and never gets rattled. And that's what's, it's encouraging for me to, I trust him, and I'm never, I trust my safety to him, and everything he does, has reason, and I'm 100% with him. He's completely accurate that this thing has morphed, in the last 3 years. Morphed just like the country. The recipe of guns, drugs, and alcohol, and the duration of this event is what was really extraordinary. I felt it, Sunday afternoon. I was out there, and our police and the tremendous amount of responses from, the Jackson County sheriffs, especially Harrison County sheriffs, Ocean Springs, Gulfport. I mean, it was there, and you felt it. You felt the difference, and I don't want to, I don't want anyone to feel that in the future. The impact on the neighborhoods were extraordinary. And yesterday at City's Council, we had over and over. You got to feel for the people that were impacted right there. It's just something that we're gonna take and run with. I know Chief Miller had a tremendous conversation with the chief of police from Miami, and those things that, as you mentioned, Panama City came up with, that the most recent reflection of rules and regs and not without stepping on anybody's opportunity to enjoy our coast. But the bottom line is, we've been very successful in the last 3 years, especially because we've not had these challenges that the rest of the world has. Look over to New Orleans. Look at the conference and conventions that wind up here, that because we're safe, friendly, and beautiful, we can't, as Luann said, don't put that at risk, and that's our intent. So while we were, we had a challenge, and we seen, the homicide, a loss of life. One life is too much. Plus, it could have been much, much worse. And everything that was said at the council, those people who were impacted, hey, I feel for, and I feel that it's not acceptable. So we're going to do everything we can to change that. And the message I'm going to put out, and even, I think we've even got the notice of next year, April 11th to the 14th. They will get the message, and this is, shame on me if I let this do this, let this situation pop up again. But
so, Mayor, let me tell you what I observed, and I do believe, as a publisher who have watched difficult issues like this across a number of states that I've had responsibilities for in the media world. What makes for being able to solve a problem like this is when democracy kicks in and leadership kicks in and people doing their homework kicks in. And what I observed in the Biloxi City Council meeting Tuesday was exactly that. It was, first of all, every single councilman came to the meeting prepared. They understood what the impact was on their specific areas, and they had a statement that they wanted to make about that and about their need, our need to work to solve this problem. You came ready to go. You had a statement that you read right at the very beginning, and it was powerful and important, and it sort of laid out sort of a stake in the ground for here's where we need to go. This is what we are as a community, and this is what we're going to protect as a community. The police chief, it was so clear that he had done tremendous homework. And what I often said when I was in business, and you know this well from being in the software business yourself, that we're in the business of solving problems, and sometimes we don't have the answers to the problems that we're having, but we understand that if we have relationships in the industry, whatever industry you're in, and you can reach out and talk to people who have already been through these issues, the best practices are there. We just have to connect to the best practices and learn from others. The police chief had done that, and I got one more element that I want to add to that. We'll continue this conversation with Mayor FoFo Gilich as we reflect on the spring break activities that made for such an unsafe situation in coastal Mississippi this past weekend. We'll continue after this break. Welcome back to Coast View as I reflect on this past weekend spring break activities with the mayor of the city of Biloxi, Mayor FoFo Gilich. When I went to break, though, what I was mentioning is that at the city council meeting Tuesday, you saw democracy in action. The mayor was prepared, the police chief was prepared, the city council was prepared. And the last element that I want to add to this is the public was prepared. They came to this meeting. And what's interesting is that what's great about democracy is that you get a chance to hear different voices. Okay, I think that's actually extremely important. I'll give you an example. First of all, you have citizens who live near where the gunshots were going off, and them talking about the impact on them and their families and how unsafe they were and how they had to try to get out of there. You had that perspective. I was actually touched as well by the promoter who was involved in the event at the Coliseum. And his point is he'd been there 13 years in a row and never had an incident. But he follows the rules and he communicates with everyone. And so he was just there to say this can never happen again. But don't lump me as a promoter in with those other promoters who weren't doing the things prior to their event that I was doing. And we've got to solve these problems. But the point is you get to hear democracy in action is hearing all these different points of view. But one thing was clear from what I heard, Mayor, and I'm sure that you feel the same way, is that there was tremendous support in just dealing with this really important issue and never letting it happen again, or at least putting everything in our power in place to let it never happen again.
Yeah, that's the truth. The public safety stops right here in this room, and what we're going to do is do everything in our power and make sure that we don't feel this again. At least that's our intent. And again, just like preparing for a storm, and it's not. The duration was almost like Katrina. The duration was so much, and the actions from Wool Market all the way to Point Cadet, as well as in the surf style area, the Coliseum area. It was intense for 72 hours, and it's something we need to really pay attention to, and I think we will. I think our attention, the hair on the back of your neck stands up, and that's what it'll be there, and we will make sure we do the right thing.
Well, it was I don't want to necessarily use the word Armageddon, but there was a moment around when the shootings occurred, when the cop was shot, and incidentally, just the latest report is he's still recovering, may have some nerve damage in his arm. But anything else to report about that?
No, I talked with him yesterday, and that we're hopeful that he's at USA, and we'll pay attention and do the things that our medical help will be advised.
So there was a moment though when it happened that everything came to a screeching halt. I mean, traffic came to a screeching halt. I have never seen so much law enforcement activity, going either south on Potts Ferry Road or north on Potts Ferry Road. It was truly remarkable response. But the reality of that is that every single law enforcement official who was engaged in that moment, they were putting their life on the line. Whether they be in a speeding vehicle or whether they were trying to stop someone with a gun, man, you just don't expect to have to put your men and women in harm's way in that way with an event. I mean, not an event. I mean, it's just amazing how it escalated to this like incredible moment where just about all of coastal Mississippi was engaged for a moment around this event. I mean, life stopped in coastal Mississippi for a period of time.
It was a one-coast response, and no question. I mean, like I said, I was there probably at 5:45, and it was something, and it could have been much, much worse. And loss of life. Those 4 or 5 people could have lost their lives really easy. And trying to find out exactly the who, first of all, get this guy arrested. And then, the why. Why do you, to enjoy? And again, this event has morphed. It's not, what it started at. Well, as Chief said, it comes up and down as far as intensity and the problems we face. But this was a leap, from a couple of years ago. And we had the pandemic that threw some things in it too. While it wasn't the biggest as far as crowds, it was certainly the most intense, and the duration was extraordinary. And
yeah.
So,
And hey, so Mayor, it's interesting that you said it was a one coast response, and it definitely was. And now it seems we do need a one coast response going forward, because if you guys take action in Biloxi, that Billy takes a slightly different approach. What I'm learning from what we're hearing from Alabama and Atlanta and Florida is that they find the weaknesses in your plan, and if there's a way for them to exacerbate those weaknesses, they'll do that. I hope we can. You're in a great position with Mayor Billy Hughes and the other mayors, where y'all getting together on a regular basis. But if there was ever an opportunity for the mayors to get together and say we need a unified response to the message we're sending to the world, this is that moment, isn't it?
That's right, it is. And hey, don't mess with us. This is going to be a special place, and you're gonna see it. This is not a weak spot or chink in the armor, so to speak. Because we're gonna step up. We've shown the resilience that in the past with the storms and other challenges, and the pandemic and some of these other things. We got through that, and we get through this, and everyone will be safe, friendly, and beautiful. That's the goal. Public safety and is a big part of all of that.
We've heard the phrase, when the going gets tough, the tough get strong. But what I would say about Chief Miller is that when the going gets tough, leaders get calm.
Keeps cool, man.
Man, watching him at that city council meeting just be so. Well, first of all, watching the videos that I've seen of him on the scene at Surf Style, and then watching him at the city council meeting, is it in times of adversity where leaders, you discover who your leaders are, and what you see in him is a true leader, isn't it?
Well, I saw it. I didn't mean to jump in front of you, but you're talking about Chief Miller and talking about his team and his those officers will lay their life down. And I saw it firsthand with Robert McKeith and I saw Miller this was really something that shook everyone to their core. And talking about one coast, Chief Papania was there that night, and I never will forget that. And a very cool, calculated, well-planned response is what you can count on with Chief Miller and again the whole group. Once you think it through, and the result will be good. And I'm confident that but I saw it in really firsthand with the loss of an officer right outside of our public safety center. But no apparent reason. And
I had the opportunity to visit with the chief about Robert McKeithen's murder.
Right.
And man, what a story it is about leadership, just as he talks about how it affected him personally and the way that he reached out to the community and just the way he handled it in every respect was Cool Hand Luke, really impressive. Coming back to what these other communities have done, in my time in Alabama, I developed close relationships with the mayors of Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, and watching them address this issue in the way that they addressed it, their specific way, and had great success. Watching what happened in Panama City and the way that they had to address the issue, I was really pleased to see the chief had one of the key contacts that he reached out to was the police chief from Miami, because see, that was fresh for them. They have just recently dealt with enormous challenges down in South Beach, and so
actually,
it's
that chief called Miller. The chief
did he really
called John? So we were all on the same radar, so to speak.
Yeah, that's so interesting. But what does it say about the law enforcement community and the way they reach out to each other and help each other when they're down? He didn't want the chief to have to start from scratch. He was going to help him begin to sort of frame the problem and think about what the solutions might be. That's awesome that he did that.
Yeah, no, it is. It's extraordinary. Yeah, but it's what law enforcement, it gets a bum rap in some of the things that have happened across the country in the last 24 months and that sort of thing. But I have not, I'm all in with what I have seen personally with my. Let's
focus a little bit on law enforcement for a second, because I think this is one of the most critical parts of the conversation, and that was the point that you were making and the chief was making too in his own way, that you can't have a force big enough to deal with a problem like we faced. I mean, you just can't. And the number of law enforcement help that comes from other jurisdictions to help us, they're coming down here to help us with an event, and suddenly they're forced into this situation that's incredibly unsafe. And as I said in what I wrote on my Coastview site, that essentially assures that they're not going to be readily able to come and help us the next time. Well, I want to talk a little bit about that, because that's an important part of this whole conversation. So when we get on the other side, we'll continue this important conversation with the mayor of the city of Biloxi, FoFo Gilich. Welcome back to Coastview. I have my friend, the mayor of the city of Biloxi, FoFo Gilich, and we're talking about the spring break situation from this past weekend. And when we went to break, we're just talking about when there's a key event like Mardi Gras and the spring break, we get the opportunity to bring in temporarily policemen from other jurisdictions. And when they come here, some of them are coming for a little extra money, some are coming for different reasons. But at the end of the day, they don't expect that they will be in the line of fire. That's just not an expectation. Certainly they're ready in case that happens, but given the severity of this event, without solutions in place, without taking steps to make sure that we've done everything in our power to not enable that to happen again, we're going to have a hard time getting help in the future, aren't we, Mayor?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a challenge. And to, the point you were trying to make, you'll be prepared. You almost have to practice this stuff. But literally, it was a bomb that could have exploded, and you don't expect it, to get that serious. But it was, and it's certainly a challenge to say, hey, man, I don't need to do this. I've got a wife and family and friends that I may come home, and that's always the serious nature of being in public safety in both police and fire. And and there are people that really love it, and it's their passion, and God bless them. And so we're that's what our goal is, to have those folks who are engaged no matter what it takes. And that's where our community is blessed, I think, and that we've got some folks that have that attitude. And we just need to, have more of them. And as Sheriff Peterson talked about, it was in excess of 200 to 1 as far as crowds. And there's whatever the case, those numbers are overwhelming. So we were more fortunate it wasn't worse than it was. It's bad enough, but that was the in the 20 years we've been doing this, this is the loss of life on Saturday night, and then the potential to lose 5 more people was great, crazy.
And the 7 aggravated assault charges that involved police officers, and it could have been as many as 12 or more. I mean, you just don't expect to deal with that kind of situation. And someone asked me the other day, the video's been going around in that moment that's been posted on TikTok, and you see glimpses of a gun, and you see all this like mayhem that's happening, people screaming and guns going off. Someone said, who can go in the middle of Highway 90 and just start shooting their gun toward people? And it reminded me that this is part of the problem in society that we're dealing with now, especially in the big cities. I mean, I think every city's had to think about this and worry about it. And part of that cycle is, and I've talked to, when Mayor Mitch Landrieu was the mayor of New Orleans, we spent a lot of time talking about this, that some of the young men, usually young men that are engaged in these activities, they're scared to death, but they don't expect to live till tomorrow. So they make decisions based on that. So you add drug and alcohol to a mindset where they don't necessarily expect to be alive tomorrow, and they will do things that are not rational to the average person. And that's unfortunately where we are today. That's where that's where society is. Right. And to protect people in a situation like this, you got to start putting laws and ordinances in place that keep things from happening that would congregate people in places where there's a chance that might happen. And I think the hardest ones that I've seen, the hardest rules that I've seen is Panama City. The way Panama City, this long list of things that they literally, got very specific about the activities they were trying to stop. But you'll be thinking about all those things, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very anxious to get into Panama City because that was the last stop. I said, no, we're not messing with these things. So they got my attention. What are those things that push these promoters over our way? And again, that's the beauty of cooperating. I think our chief will be on a regularly scheduled Florida chiefs of police meeting, and we'll pick up everything we possibly can.
Yeah.
But, it's so easy to take a life today, and the thrust is why is it easy? And we've got to. I think it needs to drill down a little bit further. The value of that. Parents and people with children to figure out, hey, this is the most important thing you have, and the important thing we need to do is protect our lives and protect. And you got to have a future, and I think the value of life is the most important thing.
Hey, Mayor, have you heard from the other mayors across the coast?
Oh yeah, I talked with Billy yesterday, and we talked a little bit about, and actually Chief Papania CAO Papania yesterday afternoon, and talked about the number of guns that when they were pulling over folks. Number of, again, the key thing is today it seems like everyone's carrying stuff for whatever reason, and it just escalates very very quickly, and we just wish that that wasn't the mindset, but unfortunately it is, and this was the first year we really saw an explosion of that sort of thing.
So Mayor, anything else you want to say about spring break before you shift gears? Well,
spring break is like I said, the intent was to, as Felix said, to relax and release, and young folks. But now I've seen it over and over with scraping some of these other, but it's not what you think. As far as scraping and low riders, it hadn't turned out to be what it was supposedly pitched. So I think that's a challenge for us, and. Again, we want everybody to be safe and have a friendly and great time down here, but we can't put a lot of folks at risk. And
well, we saw tremendous engagement at that city council meeting where you had promoters, you had citizens from the various neighborhoods that were impacted. You had Linda Hornsby from the Hotel Motel Association and Hospitality Association there. You had, people like Lou Ann Pappas, for the CEO of Scarlet Pearl. But again, I mean, literally every sector of the community was represented, and there was almost complete. There were a few dissenting voices, but at the end of the day, there was a resounding compelling statement for change. And there's no doubt that this is what the citizens want. So as you guys work forward on that, look forward to chatting with you more on future shows so we can keep people up to date.
Keep, getting the word out to folks as far as what our thoughts and what our reasons, we do things. And I think, together we can make a impact what needs to be changed. And again, this was a teaching, a learning moment, and believe me, we've learned some things, and we'll implement what we've learned very rapidly.
I know you will. You're the right man for that job, that's for sure. Hey, listen, Jordan, Nico, and I visited, and that show will air next Tuesday. We did a pre-record for, we grabbed him when we could get him, but he's made terrific investments in downtown Biloxi, as have other investors. But boy, things are really rocking there, aren't they?
It is. It's coming together. Just like anything, it takes longer than you think, but it's getting there. I'm telling you, it's going to be impressive. It already is, with Ground Zero and some of the, the restaurants. His brother Fields has a spot that really is great, and as far as what it's done with the old Josette's or Borden's Milk, and it's very cool. And we got baseball now, so we're going to tie the whole package together. We've even seen some events from Porter Avenue on Howard Avenue. So Howard Avenue is cooking again, and we're grateful to those folks who have seen the opportunity, and they have. The whole family has been supportive of what we're trying to do.
Hey, listen, Monday morning it was beautiful. Incidentally, the weather was beautiful. I went for a ride on my bike. And went down to the boardwalk and rode down the boardwalk. I actually rode down to Surf Style to check it out. And, boy, when you look south, though, man, let me tell you something. Chuck Loftus and his team at Sand Beach Authority, they had already cleaned up the beach from the weekend's activities. It was absolutely beautiful, man.
Right.
They're doing a good job on that beach these days, aren't they?
They do. And if we just keep, we're doing some things to keep the sand, but they've done well. We were, as a matter of fact, that's where Billy and I, we were down watching a little bit of the John Travolta movie being shot down by Snapper's restaurant, and the beach was absolutely. These folks from, L.A. and some of they were really appreciative of what we have here as far as a man-made sand beach. So no, it was good.
Did you meet John Travolta?
I'll wave to him. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
those are all business. Those folks don't mess with just politicians. But I think I met his producer, and they're going to be back with something in June. Bill Webb and John Reed from the Film Commission, film folks, has been we helped them in trying to set up different things. But we did have our police boat, the Serena G, out when the explosion over the water. That's part of the opening part of the movie. Put out the fire, but it was amazing. So
we'll pick it up here on the other side, but we're visiting with Mayor FoFo Gilich from Biloxi. We'll have the final segment after this break. Welcome back to Coast. You have my friend, the mayor of the city of Biloxi, FoFo Gilich, and we were talking about the John Travolta movie that's being filmed here on the beach and Scarlet Pearl, maybe various other locations. And FoFo, I can't help but think about this. We both come from sort of a musical background. And we were raised in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and when the disco craze happened, and the movie Staying Alive, Saturday Night Live, or Saturday, what was it? Saturday Night Live, is that right? Saturday Night Fever. Thank you. Kyle was saving me. The mayor was saving me. Saturday Night Fever. I remember how that just changed everything. And of course, John Travolta is the star. It unleashes his career, and the rest is kind of history. But now he's on the beach in Biloxi. still going strong. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. As I finished city council on the way home, that's when I stopped, and we had tried to connect with him formally in right about 1 o'clock, and things were running behind, so I had to leave. I said, well, I'll stop by on the way back, and I did. You see that Black Hawk helicopter right by the white pillars, and then all the crowd in and around there. So I just kind of played tourist, but it is really interesting. I was able to kind of connect with some of the stunt crew that supposedly the bad guys, but it was a very interesting situation. But they're appreciative of what, our hospitality and the food, and so they'll be back. We're confident that other folks will be back here doing the movie thing.
Well, look, I've had representatives from the Film Commission from Mississippi on more than once, and they're not playing. They're serious, and they've developed all these great relationships, and there's filming activity happening all across Mississippi.
Right.
We're a good place to do a movie. I mean, there are a lot of movies going into the Delta area. The coast is ripe for future film opportunities. And they like when they come here because they get a lot of help from the state, and when they go into a city like Biloxi, they're welcomed, and it's cool. And of course, the weather couldn't have been better for them to be doing their taping. So it's kind of the best of all worlds.
Right. I shared with Reed and Webb and actually the producer and director folks. I said, now you look just beyond the horizon, you've got an extraordinary set of barrier islands with that. I encourage you to just do a prospecting. Go from, there's some cool spots on Cat Island, the canals there that you would not expect here, and of course the water and the waves and so forth. From Ship Island to Horn Island to Cat Island, it's extraordinary. So they may be taking a little day trip to see what else this place has to offer. So it was interesting. I enjoyed the interaction with that group.
Yeah, that's cool to see that. And then, of course, when the movie comes out, there's no telling when it will come out. It usually takes a long time to get those movies actually in theaters, but it's going to be showcasing Coast of Mississippi. I mean, that's one of the benefits of doing things like this, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we're proud. You know me, I'm pitching 100% of the time about the man-made beach from 26 miles, and even talked a little about the sand itself. It's always 100-micron sand. It was interesting. A person from Montreal that was appreciative of our whole, cultural heritage with the French and the Croatians and the big gumbo that we are. I talked a little bit about the sand, so I enjoyed that conversation.
One other comment that I've said before, but as I mentioned on my bike ride, I went down the boardwalk. That has evolved into, in and of itself, that's an attraction in and of itself.
Exactly.
And it's got to be making you proud as that thing comes to fruition. It
is, and I think we talked with Jimmy Schaefer and Pat Christian yesterday, and we got some support to have that experience from bridge to bridge. Imagine, from the Biloxi Ocean Springs Bridge to Bay St. Louis, having that same opportunity up and down, and doing the little things with the knee wall to keep the sand on the beach that would keep MDOT happy, and some of those things when we have these wind events or storms. So I think that little 1 mile stretch was a very valuable and positive pilot program, if you will, that you may be able to see that all the way. So I know my next steps would be to provide that same sort of thing between Porter Avenue and all the way to White Avenue, and then from the Beach Road all the way to the Broadwater. There's some bits and pieces of it done, but just imagine that boardwalk and with that seawall, it's going to be a terrific thing. And,
so as you're going down Highway 90 headed to the east, you pass the Biloxi Small Craft Harbor and you see the small concrete wall that's adjacent to it. Is that part of the
18-inch knee wall? Yeah, and that's to raise the profile so the sand cannot blow. It's harder for a sand, and we did change put 25,000 tons of sand that's heavier, so it takes more wind to lift it over the seawall and to put it on the Highway 90, which causes problems. If you had to, drive through some sand, if you're on a bicycle especially, but or motorcycle or a car. So that was the intent. This is a 1 mile pilot program that I think will roll out, across the coast.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's great to see that. It's good to see you and Billy working together. So much opportunity. Hey, listen, we're out of time, but it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Thanks for your
my pleasure.
Directness, honesty, and your leadership around the spring break.
Tell everybody hello for me.
I will definitely do that. I will definitely do that. It's been Mayor FoFo Gilich for the city of Biloxi. Thank you, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
You too, Ricky. Thank you.